that is required for us. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm sure for some of you, either of those and one of those will, stick and appear. My name is Sunil. There are a lot of people who confuse me as Nimma. Nimma is in my company's name. So, Nimma Coach is my company's name. And it means very beautifully, it means I'm your coach. If you can also see on the yellow background here. It means Nimma Coach in Kannada, which is my mother tongue. It means Nimma Coach means your coach. And I don't specifically operate with any niche as such. But over the period of many years, I know that I'm a damn good coach. And that's all that matters for me. And it's a continuous improvement game. And mostly people come to me because they feel like, hey, Sonal is my coach. And that's Sonal is my friend, and Sunil is also a coach, and I feel I should come to him. And that's how the entire background, the entire bandwidth is built. So that's where Nimma Coach comes in. And also, if you're looking at this, this is me on LinkedIn. This first QR code that you're seeing is me on LinkedIn. This is another part of my identity. I run a community of coaches from across the world called the Tribe of Coaches. We're about 300 in total from all across the world right now. Typically, a lot of them are from India, but then it's an expansion into Kenya, Burkina Faso, Togo, UAE, Middle East, and across US. We are always open to get more people. We've had good friends from Lithuania and multiple other countries as well. So, yeah, you are free to join in. It's a free space. We meet every Monday at 7 p.m. India time. And we have sessions where we talk about core competencies, live coaching sessions, live mentoring sessions, Q&As from experts. So that's how we build our ecosystem. I currently hold a PCC for the last 2.5 years. Another half year, I have to do my renewal, which I'm still questioning whether I should do a renewal or directly go to MCC, because MCC journey has started. And yeah, it was love at first coaching for me. But before that, I had an engineering stint, and I used to work in Bosch, which was a German automotive company. And I used to work in Bangalore. I'm part of Bangalore in India. And typically, these are things that define me: passion, networking. I love to connect with people, talk, really give them an experience of a conversation as such, a human connect to all of that. I do like traveling, especially if I am not driving. I am 34 years old and very happy to admit that I have never tried my hand at driving, because if you are in Bangalore, you will know driving in Bangalore is a hell of a nightmare. So my attention is usually on everything else because I am a born poet. Poetry is born with me. So I've been writing for the last 15 years, written more than 7,500 poems. So that's also the part of my next identity. And I bring poetry into coaching, which is something that I really enjoy. And I love it when the client says, I don't know what to do. And if that don't know repeats many times, I'm the most happiest, because that's my space of specialization, specifically working with poetry, creativity, metaphors. And when the logical tank is completely closed, as in there's nothing else in the logical tank, that's when people get into the I don't know state. And that's my favorite space of working. And other than that, I have been into writing. I do coaching full time. I quit my IT job about 8 years back. I run scholarship programs for young rural kids. And yeah, there's a long list of things that I do. But typically, these three QR codes are important for you. One, to follow me on LinkedIn, one, to join the tribe of coaches, and the other is to give me a testimonial on LinkedIn. For a very, very long time, I was very shy in asking for testimonials. But over a period of time, I've realized that that's a limiting belief, and I should actively work on it. And this is me as a coach actively working on asking, saying, I know I did a good job. If you felt the same, you're always happy to give me a testimonial. So that's a little bit about me. And possibly this will be the last slide that you will get to see in the entire of the ICW. But you will see this if you're repeating your way through the rest of the 25 sessions, you will see this happening again and again. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me, and I am stoked to meet you from all across the world. People I've already met, people I'm meeting for the first time, and very happily people I will continue to meet over a long period of time as well. I would love to have that conversation as such. And I asked you to share something in the chat or with me directly when we before I started the introduction. The question was, do you consider other coaches as competition? And I got two very resounding responses that says no, absolutely not. And the other one, Padmavati, said no. So any other additions to that we are sharing? If you do consider them as this thing, it's a safe space. You can share that yes, I do consider them as competition. Um, it's absolutely fine because all answers are valid. There is no judgment on that. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you for being honest and then being that yes. I think both answers are right because at some point of the time when it comes to as business, two different business organizations consider the other business as a competition? Hell yes, absolutely. Do you, when it comes to say 10 people that apply for a job, are they competing against the job? Oh, absolutely. And when you are getting to an organization where you are applying to be an internal coach, the person on the other side is another business opportunity. It's a question between 10 of you, 12 of you, two of you, three of you, right? Do you do consider yourself there as a segment of a lost opportunity or an opportunity that you're trying to get? You're trying to maximize whatever you have, and that gives you the biggest advantage, right? So that is one. The second part of it, what we learn while our coaching segments learning space is that we're building collaborations. And I had a very interesting segment where my journey has been in a way that my requirement is to sort of my passion is to work towards B2C, which is directly to the consumer, rather than B2B working with organizations. But I did get an opportunity to work with a B2B because a friend of mine said, look, I've got a project that's 30 clients that we need to work with, and this is month on month. And I don't think I have the bandwidth to work with 30 coaching sessions. So, what I would love to have you be a collaborator in my journey, and I need three more people who are a collaborator in my journey. So, I called three of my friends and said, hey, this opportunity one of my friend is getting for me. Uh, would you be open? And they said yes. And here, one thing that is interesting and relevant to the topic that we are looking at in terms of coaching in an AI world is that all five of us coaches were chosen because all five of us were happy to coach in the vernacular languages of India. The non English speaking community was what they were, the clients did know basic English, but then the amount of familiarity that is there if somebody speaks to you in the language that you call as your mother tongue, father tongue, whatever tongue that you are, and the language that you connect to, you resonate to, then obviously the kind of connection, the kind of safety, the kind of trust that default builds in the system is a different ballgame. And we had an absolute amazing, successful campaign. So we did one for all of South Indian spaces. So we worked with about 30 clients here. They came from all across four states in India, across the South. In the same project, then we got a second offer, and here it was for people across the northern part of India, and where predominantly Hindi and other languages also got a different segment of interest. So there were other coaches who got a collaboration call saying, "Hey, we are doing this project. We know you're good. We'd love to collaborate with you." So therefore, there is always an aspect of both competition, collaboration, and at some points, we are not even competing in the same market. Like I coach in three different languages. I coach in English. I coach that's possibly across, possibly open to people across the world. I coach in Hindi, which is possibly spoken across the length and breadth of the So the northern part of India, across the western and eastern part of India, there's still resonance to that. And Hindi also finds its way in the south. So that's one more space. And Kannada, which is my mother tongue, which is spoken by approximately 5-6 crore people minimum across the entire state. And I get projects, I get gigs in training, coaching, mentoring, etc. purely because of a language segment that comes into place. And for me, this space of asking you with these questions and sharing this story is to say there is hope in an AI world. Because every time I look at a or I look at coaches conversing about AI, it's doomsday conversations. Say, oh, AI is going to take away our jobs. AI is going to make something coaching redundant. ACC is no longer relevant. PCC may not be no longer relevant. MCCs are going to be taken over by the AI world. So these are conversations I keep hearing across the spectrum, fueled by possibly fear of getting you into the next credential. I don't know. That's the space where people want to get more people enrolling into the next credential segment, uh, or it is the reality that we're trying to live in, and but there are fringes that people can occupy that can become their mainstream in saying, "Hey, look, I can be a coach in these segments of work." So there is threat to what we call as the coaching way of life, but it's not doomsday as such because we are as coaches, we are as humans, somebody who usually uh, figures out a space to say, "Hey, I can also exist in this space." Until I knew that uh, I initially thought, come to PCC, get myself into all these Better Up, Esra, and multiple other spaces. The reality was I didn't get into any of that because at that time they said, look, we've multiple other PCCs who come from, say, 20, 30 years of corporate experience. You don't have anything that's remotely C-suite. So you may not be a good fit for us. And I was like, oh, what to do next? But then I had sat in about 200 hours of triad coaching conversations, given feedback, understood core competencies like the back of my hand. And that led me to follow up on a mentor coaching segment. And that's where I found out that I have the best skills. And another person very recently reached out to me, hey, look, I gave the transcript to uh, ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, the list of AI segments that he mentioned. And it gave me an answer that helped me become a better coach. And I said, that's fantastic. Because what it may not have given you is experience of what I've built in whatever 10 years, 20 years, 30 years that I've been part of life. That experience is not yet available to that segment of AI because this is still mine. It may be a world experience, nothing that really beats it. And I met a friend of mine yesterday, and and one of the things that she said is AI is designed and trained not to give you answers in the first shot because they will monetize every question that you'll ask. So AI is giving you tidbits of information and at the end of the day, getting you to the same place where you always asked. I also will give you of a parallel scenario of a very good coach who comes. So I am also called the coach of coaches because a lot of the peer coach friends come to me after we've stopped peer coaching and say, look, I need a coach. I need a coaching session from you. So one of them came by just like that and she said, look, I have watched my segment of work on LinkedIn because I cannot think outside of ChatGPT. Because everything I'm asking ChatGPT, following through with whatever it says. It says write LinkedIn post every day, I'm writing that. So her insecurities are completely being fueled by this segment. And if you ask me, knowing who she is and how she coaches, all that she needs to do is apply her coaching full time rather than working on so many of the other things that AI is distracting her from, saying you should do this, you should do that. And her content, when she delivers that, like verbatim, she delivers that, is far more effective than when she uses AI to express the same thing. So these are things I have seen over a period of time that says, hey, I think AI, there is scope for AI, there is scope for coexisting with AI, and there is scope where AI is going to push some of us out. And remember, AI can be an advantage if you are placing yourself right. So in India, this segment happens. I'll give a break in another 2, 3 minutes. In India, this segment happens. Culturally, this segment happens. All of us in our Indian families are family doctor. I am possibly also sure that maybe across Netherlands, across Italy, across wherever you're joining us from, there is that segment where we have a family doctor. Irrespective of whatever happens, the first call goes to the family doctor. He is a generalist. So access wise, always better. Some of them get solved by the generalist. And at some points, the generalist says, look, I don't think I have the bandwidth to do this. This is beyond my capacity. That's when they go to possibly somebody who's a surgeon, who is a specialist, XYZ. And sometimes the same person, the one whose doctor we've gone first, is the one recommending the other side, saying, yes, I think this is something that's beyond my segment. Go somewhere else. And that's where you go. And ChatGPT or AI or Claude or whatever that we use could be that first segment of work that we say, hey, you're available 24 bar 7. You are my first confidant in terms of sharing whatever I'm sharing. So that could be a space where it makes your services more premium. If you are able to place yourself there in a way that you are an expert beyond the segment. You're working at the more human connects. Right now, I'm able to see Beatrice, I'm able to see Pratima, I'm able to see Immaculate. And this is a human connection that we're developing. And I don't know if you've heard of this term called Instagram fatigue or social media fatigue. The Gen Zs that I connect with, that I work with, have switched off their Instagram, have switched off their Snapchat, have switched off multiple segments and are saying that it's too much for us to have. And your current absorption rate of AI in coaching will also reach a tipping point where people will come back to far more human experiences. And in Bangalore and across India, there are places where people are so lonely that people are opening their homes to come and just sit, discuss, have lunch, and go back home for an entire half day. And they're getting paid for it. And these are hordes of people who come from different segments of life, different walks of life, just coming there, absolute strangers, coming to somebody's house, experiencing the hospitality at that place, and then going back home, meeting new friends, possibly finding something far more interesting than what their Instagram lives could have. So there is always spaces, segments, and always hope to say yes in even an AI driven ecosystem wherein everything is maximized for efficiency. We are humans and we need human connect. And therefore, there is always space and scope for some of us to be who we are, share what we have to share to the rest of the world. I will pause here to check in if my monologue has hit you somewhere. And any other thoughts that you may have, I would love to hear from your thoughts. Any questions, any challenges, any place you would love to agree? Yes. Immaculate, you almost went to unmute. So,
Yes, I see you really present in terms of understanding the body language, and you were spot on. Yes, I think I agree with a lot of the things that you said. I resonate. I mean, they resonate with me. Also a poet, so I understand and love the idea. I'd never heard about it. Somebody opening their homes and, perhaps being open to the idea of having lunch or over coffee. Spectacular. Thank you so much for sharing that. Looking forward to hear more.
Absolutely, yeah. And um, if I have to be very honest, I haven't prepared a single slide. I didn't know what I have to speak when I came to this session, right? All of that is flowing and emerging. And that essentially is also a superpower for us as coaches. So the emergence segment, I'll give you an example. It happened just 3, 4 days back. I am en route my MCC. Typically, peer coaching also happens. I want to sort of figure out. So I got hold of another peer coach. She's from currently in Germany, if I remember right. And I was the coach and she was the client. So we had a conversation. So typical conversation, safety, recording, blah, blah, blah. Said we didn't record the conversation as such. But the conversation got to a point where I asked, oh, what do you want to talk about yourself? A very wordy client, very verbose client. The next question I asked, saying, how are you feeling, was 15 minutes later, because the client was sharing everything so beautifully. And the entire 60 minutes happened with just 4 questions. And she said, of all the hours that she's done coaching in peer coaching and space, she's never had an experience where somebody just sat quietly for 60 minutes. It may happen with AI because AI is very happy unless you prompt something, it doesn't come back. But do have a look that AI, whenever you send something, prompts you with another question to ask you something more. Hey, what would you advise somebody else going through XYZ? At times, it's required that you maintain radio silence while being fully present with the individual and at the person at the point of time. So AI, in a way, when it enters into coaching, may not have that space right now to say, when do I pause? How much do I pause? Where do I pause? So you are at always constantly scripting your way or unscripting your way into coaching. So that is another advantage that you have as a human. And a human vibe, a human connection is nothing short of it. And I can see, Pratima smiling, writing down something. So that connection is instantaneous. It's just like that. And that feeling is something that AI may not be able to give, even in the long run. Because at the end of the day, I'm very sure it's an AI. Because I know it's an acknowledgement that it is an AI. And therefore, I would need that. Now, I don't know how many of you have had this experience. I'd love to hear. How many of you have had an experience in a session where the client has started to cry? And do you think AI is a better option at that point, or human is a better option at that point? Do you want to cry with an AI, or do you want to cry with somebody who is a human on the other side? Right? So these are experiences that you will never get out of this. Thanks, Preeti, and thanks, Immaculate, for that, and Pratima as well. So, like you're in that moment, you're there. There's nothing else there. There's no algorithm that's waiting for you to put the next prompt. And the AI does not even know that you are crying. And maybe at some point, coaching with AI evolves with also like visual data. And at that point, it still is like how does AI calibrate it answers? It's space. When does it offer a handkerchief? When does it offer a just a hand press saying yes, I hear you. So there are spaces that makes us distinctly human and that nobody can take us away from. And coaching can be done for people who are retired, who are still outside of social media. Like when I had an experience where one of them reached out to me saying, my dad's going to retire. It finally didn't end up converting as a coaching client per se. But then my dad's going to retire. He has served, I think, if I remember right, 46, 47 years in the same banking ecosystem. And for him, it's, I don't know what is the empty nest syndrome-ish segment for this one. He has a retirement syndrome. It's like I've been occupied all my life, 46 years. My identity is linked to that. And suddenly switching off felt so alien for him. And this person is not a social media user right now. Like he's not on Instagram, not on Facebook, maybe on Facebook, but not really there. Then maybe if he has Meta AI, yes, but uh, the generation there would prefer a human conversation. So you still have spaces, entire generations that is there that prefer that. And possibly entire generations that will come in the next 3 years who are fed up with AI in everything that they're doing. And maybe another question, again, typical raise of hands, is how many of you have looked at somebody's LinkedIn post and realized it's written by AI? I'm with the hands for sure. I looked at it and I said, yes, this is AI. Yes. Well, like, I've got multiple hands for this one. Yes. And I will also ask you a follow-up question. Did your impression of that person change or get anyway dented saying, yes, they could have written it on themselves? Would you have preferred them write raw, honest work rather than a version of GPT that says, okay, this is how it is. Too perfect to be true. A preference would be to something that is more vulnerable. And I don't know if I have to put it this way, right? I lost my father to a heart attack 20 years back. And last December, I wrote a post saying, hey, this is 20 years of not being with him. And another person strangely reached out saying, hey, she'd lost her mother 3 months back. And we bonded as humans after that. And guess what? I got a coaching gig after that, like collaborative coaching gig. So human conversations, human spaces, vulnerability in our sharing, honesty, rawness. I think there will be no two questions about that, that these are the gold standards that will now come in an AI infested ecosystem. Now, if you've seen some of my wordings and you're open to that, you've listened to that, I've used infested and all that. So very negative connotations to AI. But in a way, AI, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and the other segments and threads of that have made at a lot of times some of the jobs easier. Right. So I can ask any of these engines to create a picture for me and it will create beautifully glowing pictures in seconds. And I've had this experience, and I'm also checking in with you. How many times do you felt this 80% okay, and the 20% is still missing, and then you try to refine the next 20%, and it botches up even further. You're like, okay, the 80% bad version or 80% tick mark version is chalega. This is still fine. Yeah, yeah. So So these are some of the conversational aspects what AI can do, what AI cannot do. And AI would have loved to drum up a presentation in 10 seconds or whatever I'm sharing. But then I chose to say, yes, I will share it with you without having presentations. So these kind of a things where human conversations, human connects, and what makes us human is what's helping us going to live with the AI ecosystem that we are in. And at some point, you also realize that, oh, yes, I can live without it and still make a space and still make a difference in the conversation that we have. Pratima, I'm assuming you have a question or something
Yeah,
you want to share.
yeah, yes, Sunil. I just wanted to share something.
Please.
You're totally true. Like human connect is something which is not going to be that easy with AI. Even in any coaching conversation, when a client comes to a coach, the first thing is the trust that is built between a client and a coach. So they feel that whatever they are sharing is confidential. They're not judging us, and they'll be very open in sharing their views or their thoughts. But in organization, no, I also keep hearing when they're all in this competitive world of creating bots. So coaching bot is also something I heard of, and I was thinking, how are they doing that? How is this confidentiality being maintained if they bring up
No, I think
something like
very
that?
beautiful space. Please continue.
Yeah, so this is something I heard, and I was thinking where all these confidentiality goes when that
You
happens.
see, you're coming with confidentiality, but I will talk to you of another deeper conversation. Trust. Right? So, do I trust my organization to not sift through my data?
Mm.
And if I don't trust them, am I still being honest in the coaching conversation?
Mm.
And this is still ecosystem. So performance-based coaching. You'll be like, oh, what are your strengths? Where can you leverage that? X, Y, Z. So there's still base level conversations for coaching. And at somewhere deep down, this is an AI bot, right? So one
Yeah,
is confidentiality here internal to the organization. Even if you're using a coaching bot that say any other big organizations at a later point of time releases, would you be sure that they're not selling your data to somebody else?
yeah, true.
They say that they are, genuine. But
Mm.
we've been in part of ecosystems where corruption runs so deep that yes, it's sold anywhere else. You don't even know that your data was sold. And
Yeah,
if you really look at it, if I have now say just say one thing and my phone catches it, in the next 10 seconds, there's going to be an ad on that segment. It's a now realized reality. And now I am talking about something as so vulnerable. What's to say that the microphone that is connected to multiple other spaces where you're given permissions is not using that information for something else. So, at what point do you say you can trust the ecosystem, trust the safety of that space? And also, you as an individual are even open to having that depth of a conversation.
yeah,
So, any conversation that require depths will have these requirements. I also think of the other side. If a coaching organization releases a version that says chat, coaching bot. Uh, I've been in corporate communication emails are not read. So I used to do that in a long conversation format. So one is the usage of the ecosystem. How many of them use it? Where they use it? So even assuming a 40, 50,000 employee organization releases a internal chatbot. Now, people who have had a taste of that are now looking to either become a coach or get coached by somebody else. Because whatever this bot is offering is still the bot may be trained in whatever language models, whatever segment models, but there will always be a space saying there is more to it. Saying, I think there is more that I can get with a human connection. There's always going to be that conversation. And that's an internal conversation, right? Because thank you for being here. So that's an internal conversation. That means there is a possibility that somebody would be then even looking at this. If we had no phones, like Nokia 1100 did not even exist, we would not even looked at said, oh, iPhone is the next status symbol, right? Or Samsung is the next model. The flip phone is the next status symbol. So the Nokia 1100 made it affordable, made it come to everybody's home, and then there always was premium versions that got developed. So obviously, there's always going to be space for that. So it's a double-edged sword. And typically, if you look at it, all 30,000 were never your direct customers anyways. Even if you got 30,000, you would not have the volume to handle that. And maybe the coaching ecosystem in its current place would also have struggled to handle that volume of 30,000. So to some extent, AI is doing some of the donkey work for us. And somebody looks at our LinkedIn, at our Instagram, at our Facebook, it's somewhere else, and says, I think this person, whatever he or she is sharing, makes a lot more sense. So I would love to have a conversation with them. And that's where, again, your authenticity, your realism, your way of expressing and sharing makes people come to you rather than you going to them at too many of conversations spaces. Not that you going to them is anyways bad. It's another way of marketing. But then I have chosen to have people come to me saying, hey, I want you to be my coach. I want to have a conversation with you that's remotely similar to coaching, transformation, blah, 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 all this day segments that you work with. And then the conversation goes off because you never know what the other side would look at you and say, hey, I think this person is what I would like to work with. It could be that this person is wearing a white shirt. I like white shirts. So let's talk to him. This is what you are keeping yourself open to be invited to a conversation. And that you do it being real. Because right now that is the biggest commodity. That is the biggest currency. So and you will obviously get 10, 15, 20, 30 connection requests on LinkedIn every other time saying, look, your LinkedIn is bad. We will help you optimize your LinkedIn. Go to their LinkedIn, it's ChatGPT content. And they would have liked their own post. And other than that, two or three other people would have liked it. And I posted Dabba post, and like nothing is inside that post. It still gets me 5 to 10 likes. Why do I have to pay them to use ChatGPT? I can use it myself. And ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, all segments of AI. Like at some point, if everybody is rushing towards one place, you know that the segment is going to get crowded. Now people internally will start fighting saying use my AI versus use his AI or her AI. So it will still get competing inside that segment. And at some point, it pays to not get into that rat race. And remember, you have to choose to get into conversations where you as an individual are noticed, and then they say, okay, yeah, you are also a coach. Oh, I have something that I need work with. And that trust is default established. And because I am in the segment of asking questions, how many of you go to after you became a coach? How many of you go to marriages, functions, and any other get-togethers with also a slight intention to say, "Here I may get a client." I go that. One of the reasons I go to a marriage is like one is good food, possibly all the cousins and XYZ that I get to meet, and three there is a always either a referral incoming or there is a coaching conversation incoming. Because my cousins default trust me. I don't have to break my head. They may not be bringing in the most vulnerable conversation saying, you know what, I have problems with my anger management. They definitely will come with something that says, look, I need better time management. Like, it starts with that. And over a period of time, people who I've coached in my first 2 months of coaching have come back to me after 2 years and said, look, I want you to be my coach. I didn't ask them. They came on their own. And these are things you have to build wherein you as an individual are working with them. And if they've already met you, why do they have to go to AI? So with that, I pause for once more because there's one more final element of this that I think would be an interesting segment to this. And it's now also in the news because some famous coach has done a research on it. Until then, it was not. So it also adds to the segment that until somebody does research on it and shows a paper on it, people will not really buy into that, even if common sense says, yes, that is that. So, any guesses into what that is? What is the magic formula that possibly can save us coaches from AI domination? And then AI is the coach. And in the meantime, welcome Denise, Denisa, and Yashi. I saw you just right now. So, welcome to the call. So, after a little bit of suspense, the thing is humor. So, there's a recent study, I think, by some of the Harvard professors or somebody high up the food ecosystem in the coaching segment. Somebody who's been there for a very long time, established themselves. Humor is something that is possibly going to be the superpower in your ecosystem as a coach in a world that is going to get more AI friendly. And like whatever you said, AI friendly is not bad in the long run because there will always be AI adoption, there will be AI fatigue, and there will be AI exit. Something else will come. And so, can you hold yourself through with that would be the important part. And through the entire conversation, like whoever was on camera, it's very evident at some point at these places they were smiling because of some of the references that I took. And possibly, say one of them is Italian. I think the Italian lady left. Oh, no, yeah. So, Serena. So, if I talk to you in something that is a slang, even in terms of metaphorically, person from the same segment of life is going to possibly figure out saying, yes, this is what it means. Like at some point, your AI may not understand internal references that you have. And when you talk about something, it has layers and layers of memory, experience, protocol, blah, 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 all set into place. And AI is trained to predict, saying, hey, is this what you're thinking? Versus what do you think this is happening? So AI is wanting to ask the next question properly. AI is thinking like also like an amateur coach saying, what's the next question that I need to ask? But is AI evolving as such? Oh, absolutely, you bet. Does that mean we can't evolve? Oh, obviously we can. And the more evolved and more confident that we get as coaches, we are trying to get to an ecosystem. And you are banking on what happened before AI because business was being done way before AI came into existence. Business was done way before Facebook came into existence. People were meeting each other socially way before social media came into existence. And if you look at Shakespeare, Shakespeare had no Instagram account. Thousands of years later, this fellow is still remembered. Like, we curse this fellow saying, "Why do I have to read this to pass the English exam?" But that's a different ballgame. Oh, awesome! Thanks, Serena. Good to have you here. So, so we still do that. That means there always will be a human ecosystem that will set you into a space where you can still work with your craft. You will have to adopt the craft, but then you can still survive this space. And all the money that you put in, the lakhs of rupees, the multiple dollars that you put in, euros that you put in, is still going to be worth its space. It's always going to be worth its salt. You will maybe have to pivot, relook at certain things, and maybe reinvest in something elsewhere. But then, yes, it will always serve you. The coaching skills will always serve you. There will be a space where you can utilize the ecosystem for better segments. And I personally have a goal to say I want to get to a point in the next 6 years. I call it my retirement segment. So at 40, I need to retire. And it usually, puts eyebrows up for multiple people saying, why do you want to retire at 40? And it for me means that I am at a place where money is not work. I am not working for money. Rather, money is working for me, and I've reached that space. And at that point, I'm open to coach without anybody having to pay me a single rupee, a single dollar. I love coaching so much, and I have now built an ecosystem of two or three other businesses that can go hand in hand with coaching. So if somebody asks me, "Oh, are you a full-time coach?" Yes, I'm a full-time coach. Yes, I am a full-time podcaster. Yes, I am a full-time uh, teacher for people who'd love to learn poetry. I'm a full-time teacher, I'm a full-time LinkedIn consultant. I am a full-time manager of somebody's LinkedIn and storytelling. So I do all of that full-time. So I'm not doing 25% elsewhere. So again, how you think about your relationship with AI is going to define that. And The question I asked you at the beginning is, do you see coaches as competition? And if your real true answer was no, then AI is going to be a collaborator for you. If not, yes, you're going to look at it as competition. And it is going to take away some of your jobs as well. But what it makes you is puts a little fire on the back and says, now I need to get better as a coach. And nobody uh, gets any lesser because they have now a desire to be better in their coaching segment. And better does not mean that you go ahead, launch yourself into learning 20 other concepts, TA today, NLP tomorrow, CBT later, then poetry, then something else. So you align the questions in your head get quieter and quieter as you go deeper into coaching. And that's your true indication to say, yes, you've arrived as a coach. And the rest is easy. And you're still living in ecosystems where there are people who don't have access to AI at all. They don't even access to food at some point. You're like, forget AI. So there could be a space where alignment for you can come in multiple segments. And the human that you are is always going to take you through the AI ecosystem. All right. So with that, I choose to pause here. So we did sit on humor, we did sit on conversations, we did sit on the collaboration segment of AI, and we had multiple other conversations as such. I'm very happy to have the opening conversation for my ICW with this space. I am uh, open to have you guys ask me questions, share your thoughts, challenge me with whatever conversations. Yeah. So, what is your stake on the coaching platforms recording the sessions in order to feed the AI coaches? So, you'd have who would talk me, da, 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 and they think AI coaching is perfect for them. Yes. I think, Serena, thank you for putting that up. This is an answer to a space where typically, if you look at it, a restaurant offers a um, free meal as their opening segment. So people are like, "Oh, it's a free meal. Let's go get it." But at some point, they're going to get a taste of what coaching looks like. And the more that they get to that point, they are getting to a space where they're like, "I think the problem that I'm coming with is a more nuanced problem. It requires a human intervention." And maybe a physical meeting conversation. So it could evolve into a space where physical meetings, conversation, a physical meeting may take more precedence. And again, it's an evolving ecosystem. And coaching platforms recording the sessions and feeding it to the AI, again, it's a question of confidentiality, ethics, reality, uh, segment of our control to whether we can say, oh, I don't want to agree with this and exit the system. How much of the matrix do you want to plug into? What if they don't get a taste of what real coaching is? Damn, that's a good one. How do I metaphorically answer that? It's maybe finding love after a horrible breakup. So at some point you still do find it. Uh, and that's where our jobs as coaches on all social media makes a difference, right? That we continue to share our stories, continue to talk about what's really happening, continue to talk about what coaching is. I come from India where coaching means, yeah, there's a competitive exam. I'm teaching you how to crack the competitive exam. That's one definition of coaching. There's sports coach, there's yoga coach, there's this thing, there's a handwriting coach, there's a parenting coach, there is a pregnancy coach, there is a postpartum pregnancy, this thing coach, there is a menopausal coach, there's a divorce coach. Right. So the coach in India is flooded with multiple definitions. So we can always go through places where people have had a bad experience. But then you also get to an equation where you ask yourself, how many of my clients or your segment of clients are the ones who are going to AI as a segment? So what do you offer that bring people to you again and again? Maybe that is a reflection conversation. Ask your client saying, "So what made you come to me? and you will be surprised at some of the answers that they will give. And that could be how you operate for the next, say, 20, 30 other other clients. And over a period of time, it builds a practice. Right? You are very clear as a coach, at least I am, that I am not building a coaching platform. I would still be an individual contributor or individual segment. So for us, we will still have a space to build up practice. And this is a hopeful Sunil that is answering this. And it may end up being completely different with speed of the adoption, the speed of this. But what I'm very, very confident of, that as coaches and individuals, we will ride this wave. We will be better at that, right? And some of you would maybe hear my dog barking in the background, and you would also be smiling and saying, "Hey, look, I also have a dog." That means we are connected that way. And the connection leads to conversations, conversations leads to coaching and somewhere else. Right? So in an AI ecosystem with so many of these coming in, what is real, what is not real, what is the extent to which they have understood coaching, all of that is a flux. But you will have to carve yourself a space where you are comfortable with that flux and say, yes, I go into that flux, I can come out of that flux, and the flux no longer makes me insecure. And that's where there's hope. And when there's hope, there are new ideas, new segments, new ways of work. So, and all coaches I worked with, so I am part of Bangalore. Bangalore, the conversational language to a large extent is Kannada. And it's an immigrant city, so people come from all over the city, all over the country. And there are multiple languages being shared. And out of 200 and plus coaches in ICF Bangalore, I am the only one who tells it and beats my chest and say, look, I can coach in Kannada. And I have an ecosystem, like general ecosystem, even if you look at it, a target audience in crores. But can I handle all the crore? No, I just need 25. 25 each year, and then I'm set. So we may not be looking at hundreds of clients right away, and we may not be needing that. So you will at some point define yourself saying, hey, this is the segment that I want to work with. If that segment comes to you, then awesome. No? And a reputation is built, and people would always come to that. So would you trust any AI with a complicated medical segment? No. So therefore, any complicated life issue, people will always come back to trust somebody who's got a beautiful reputation. And that is what we can build and what we can choose to build across the entire segment. Did that to some way answer the question, Serena? All right. So I will wait for Serena to share. And in the meantime, I would urge you to follow me on LinkedIn if you've not done that. If you would love to be a part of the community where you will get to see me on all 4 weeks of the month on Monday at 7 p.m. There are some people in the call who are happily receiving that dose of conversations with me and all the other coaches. On paper, we are 300, but every meeting we'll have at least 20 people that I can guarantee. And they're good people. We do peer coaching spaces as well, but that's not part of our ideal ecosystem, or it's not the only definition that we have. And if you feel drawn to give me a testimonial, write about what this session was for you, anything as such, this is where you can do it. And yeah, if you'd love to stay in touch on WhatsApp, here's my number as well. So, oh, no person in the waiting room. Why did it go to the waiting room? Yeah, So this is my number. This is also my LinkedIn if you prefer that. So any other conversations, any other feed forward, anything that you would like to challenge me with? I think that was something that we missed. Uh, that an individual coach, an experienced coach, a non-AI coach can sometimes pause and say, I'd love to challenge you here. And would that happen on a GPT with whatever is possible at that point of time? So that may be a question mark. So, right. So if I can request you to switch on your videos, if you are open to a group picture that we can take. If not, then that's absolutely fine. Ta-da. One more second for others to also switch on. Um, if that's possible, if not, we're completely fine with that. All right, so I will take a picture. Thank you to all of you that have made it here. It did happen. Wait. Yes, it did. Yes, with that, we close the session for today. We stop the recording.